Thanks so much for coming. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Elvis.
And welcome to our home in San Francisco in the Mission. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Elvis Santoyo. I am the co-owner of Casa Ojo. This is my beautiful wife, Jillian, and our wonderful pup, Theo.
Hi, my name is Jillian, and I am the co-owner of Casa Ojo. I'm also a food, props, and wardrobe stylist in San Francisco. And welcome to our apartment in the Mission in San Francisco. We moved here during the pandemic, like the end of 2020. I think our move-in was like in the beginning of November. And then our landlords basically told us that the place really looks a lot better with color, and they encouraged us to paint, which we were going to do anyway, but we basically got the go-ahead from them, which was really exciting. Because we really love color, we love interior spaces. Also, San Francisco has just such amazing, beautiful old homes and great character. And when we were looking around for more space, we were in a one-bedroom apartment in Noe Valley before moving to the Mission. And so when we were looking for more space, we were looking for all the things that were quintessentially San Francisco, a Victorian, a place that includes artists, that has a community of artists, that has an outdoor space, that has lots of light, that really is a place where community could thrive. And so we've really surrounded ourselves with those types of people. And also the design of our space is in our apartment, keep that in mind, just kind of making sure this can be a place for community. So a place where people can gather and feel safe, and also inspire creativity, have open conversations about wonderful things, hard things, art things, all the things. Welcome to our living room. It's kind of a combo space, so it's a living room and like a dining room situation, but this is the seating area. A lot of things in here we basically have curated over many, many years. This was one of the first pieces we bought when we first moved to San Francisco. It's a mid-century credenza. We've had it since 2011. So it's just kind of moved with us every time we've moved. And it's just such a beautiful piece. I love the brass accents. And then this is a burlwood coffee. It's really a burlwood slice, and then Elvis turned it into a coffee table. We got it at a garage sale, and it just has the most amazing characteristics, the most amazing movement. I also just love the wood grain, and there's holes in it, and really just shows the age of it. But I think it's from the 70s. So yeah, this is one of the favorite pieces. It's a centerpiece in this room. And then the rug also, I found it on top of a garbage can when I was walking the dog, when I was in Noe Valley. So yeah, a lot of rescued things in this room. Upcycled, rescued. The animals also, the taxidermy on the walls also were rescued. They were from an estate sale in Chicago. And the guy was a hunter, and basically if they didn't sell them, then they were going to get thrown in the trash. And so we bought them, and then we packaged them and checked them on the airplane and brought them back to San Francisco.
And they have names now.
Yeah.
We've named them, and it's Julie and I love to honor the life and the beauty of this earth, and both these animals represent that.
Yeah.
Also, as part of our Casa Ojo brand, in case you can't tell, we love plants in our apartment. We think it's an essential for every home. We, as part of our Casa Ojo brand, we have a pot that is handmade by artisans in Oaxaca. And you have that featured here.
Lots of pottery.
Lots of pottery.
Terracotta, natural fibers, wool, sheepskin, lots of like older things that we were just like, we're just heavy on the textures. I think that is just really important. This piece here is called Cuba cloth, and it's from Africa. And this one is quite old, but it's basically like little tufts, and then they're like trimmed, but it's a natural fiber cloth. And it's generally just like used as like mats, but I just loved it so much that I put it on the wall. We'll probably end up getting it framed just so it doesn't like continue to sag, but for now, that's where it is. Yeah, lots of pieces like that in this room. Just lots of like little trinkets and things. We also have like a pretty large selection of games we like to entertain, and we like to have a lot of like people over for game night.
Also, as part of our Casa Ojo brand, we work with a family from Oaxaca who they literally went out, shaved the sheep, and created this pillowcase for us. This is all from natural colors, made mostly from insects, and it not only represents the indigenous culture, but we love the design, and it's a perfect accent for our home.
This was a couch and armchair set that we got when we were still living in Chicago. This is actually the only furniture that's left from when we moved here. So these two pieces we got them off of Craigslist in Wisconsin. So,
Racine, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and it was like this really cute lady, and she was just like emptying out her basement, and so we got both of these for like $200, I think. But it's real Naugahyde, so it's like basically vinyl, but it's like the vintage, vinyl faux leather. So, but I just love this orange so much, and it's just like such a good color. I love this color. The ceilings were like this when we moved in. It's a tinted plaster, and they basically rounded all the corners, got rid of all of the trim, and just really like pared it down to just like very minimal aesthetic, and then decided to like curve the ceilings and do this like tinted plaster. So when we moved in, the ceiling was like this, and the ceiling is like this in every room except the kitchen. And it just felt like Mexico to us when we moved in. All of that like concrete, older plaster vibe. When we moved in, it just felt like a personal temple for us. And so we just really wanted to use color to accent that and also like divide the space. So we have this kind of like bluish gray, and I love this color before it was popular. So now it's like everywhere, but we basically ended up painting almost every year, doing like a section at a time, and really taking our time to find the right colors. But this gray just felt really den-like to me, very cozy. And also I just love the way like the plants kind of like pop off of this color. I think it's just like the like oranges and greens. Like I think any kind of like saturated color really comes forward off of this color. And it's also like not your typical gray. There's more of like a blue hue to it. So I really thought that was awesome.
This is a piece from an organization called Creativity Explored. I believe it's been around since the 70s. But they teach art to people with disabilities. This is one of their older pieces, an artist named Vincent Jackson. And this is his painting of Oprah Winfrey. And
so we got this at a garage sale in 2020. There was an HIV positive artist that was living in the Castro that was getting kicked out of his apartment, and he had been there, I think, for 25 years. And so he was essentially liquidating everything in his apartment. And so he had this piece and another piece that's in the dining area in his garage, along with our coffee table. So this piece of wood and these two paintings were in his garage, just like sitting in the garage. And, like it's really rare to find already framed art. And so I couldn't resist. I'm like, it's two pieces that are framed. They're ready to be hung. Also, I just love that this is like oil pastel, which is like a material that I haven't seen since I was like in elementary school. And I just love like her expression. I love her hair. I like that she has wings. Like she's just like living her life. So I think these two pieces were Vincent's older pieces from the 80s. And he doesn't really use this medium anymore. So he's more in the colored pencil kind of phase. So this is when he was really heavy into the oil pastels. And then this is my friend Beth, who is an amazing print artist. She does painting, prints, and she does weaving as well. But this was one of the first pieces that I bought that just like, I had to like pay in installments because I was just like, I need it. I love it. Like I'm obsessed with it. But we worked together at a fashion company. Yeah, she's just an incredible artist. I just love this like swirl. It's almost like this like vortex that kind of like pulls you in. And then there's like this quietness that's in here that I really like. And then this was hanging above the mantle in our old apartment. And we only had like maybe 2 actual like framed pieces of art when we lived there because we had hardly any wall space. So then we moved here, we could finally like see everything. So that was very exciting. And then we could add more art. So yeah. And then this piece is this artist named Gabo, who is in Mexico City. And he really is really good at like realism. But this series that he did was like kind of a mix of different indigenous people and like what it would look like if those people still existed or if they were to commingle and what their like children would be like. And so I just love her face. I love her expression. I love her hair. Her hair looks like my hair. But she just looks like very tough. She looks like she's like, you know, just a strong person. So this table we found at a garage sale for $10. It's like my favorite story to tell because we were like running errands or something. And then we just like pulled over to the side of the road and we found this whole like neighborhood was doing like a, block long yard sale. And this was just sitting in the driveway. And she said $10 and I couldn't get the money out of my pocket fast enough because I just love it. It's so perfect for this space. But also like I've always loved just like stacking kind of, Tetris style, stacking all the books up like this. It's its own like piece of art, It's like a mini library, but it's also kind of like an art installation. So yeah, that's a fun one. I just love like this kind of like totem of making like a tower of mirrors. And then both of these are in our old apartment in Noe Valley. Mm-hmm. This one is much older than this one. This one's actually plastic, but this one is plaster over wood with gold paint, I believe. And then we got this really amazing cherub angel from the Tianguis in Mexico City, and I traveled with it back in my suitcase. I don't know how it didn't break, but yeah, I just love his face and his cheeks, and his hair reminded me of Elvis, like the singer. And so I was like, well, he looks like Elvis, and then we have an Elvis here, so. Definitely eclectic, definitely inspired by the world, inspired by both of our cultures. Being a Black woman is really, it's really important to me that I, see that around me, and also honoring my husband, being Mexican. I think that was also important for us to both have, just so that we can like wake up every day and like see both of ourselves in our space. And it just, have it like echo back to us every day.
Yes, we're also vegans, by the way. And we like to celebrate animals' life. And so you see that reflected through our apartment as well.
Mm-hmm. What I love the most about this apartment is that it's had its phases. So like when we first moved in, it was this like little like hideaway for us, especially during the pandemic, where, you really couldn't leave and you couldn't interact with other people. And so having a place that has you know, each room kind of has its own personality, and even this room is technically, we've divided it into two different spaces along with color and furniture, but you know, kind of like compartmentalizing spaces allows you to have like multi-functions and to exist more freely, I think. So especially when we were like hunkering down, you know, we were doing a lot of Zoom calls. We were, you know, we did these like virtual games like on Twitch with friends, which felt really great. And then, so like it went from this like very like private kind of oasis for us. And then once folks were able to start venturing out and, you know, just colliding with people and you're able to like experience life again, we had a few events here, and one of them, it was in the SF Chronicle a few years ago. It's called Black Brunch Club. And we had, I think it was like 50 something people here, and it just felt so good. So it went from like this super, super private hideaway to this place where like everyone can be here and enjoy it and just like have little pockets of conversation. And those like little spaces that we created that had multi-use and multi-function ended up having those same functions, but even in like a group setting. So it was just like really cool to like see that like kind of like metamorphosis and like transformation. But for me, my favorite place is the kitchen because my job is food, you know, my life is food. Like I think food is just like, you know, the act of feeding people, just like, I mean, most people are like congregated in there. It's like always like jam-packed whenever we have folks over. The stove is like the heartbeat of like the house. And it's just like a great place for me creatively. And then if I want like solace, it's the bathroom. Like I love taking baths in that bathtub. It's so good. So yeah.
This is also an 1800s Victorian, and we love to honor the history of it. You see it throughout the apartment. You know, if you look at the windows, you see the history of the windows and how the windows were engineered through them being exposed. Mm-hmm.
Like the plumb weights are exposed, which I think is like, that was a design choice from our landlords. And it's just cool to see the mechanics of like an older building and just like how those structures still work. Like the windows still operate, they're very smooth, they just glide, and it's just like also cool to just see these like kind of details exposed like that.
Yes, and as you look throughout our home, you'll see many pieces that are vintage pieces. And again, we believe in reusing older pieces of furniture, having older pieces of art, things that reflect history that go along with the home mm-hmm. And its age. Mm-hmm. And right off our living room is our dining space. Welcome. One of the first things you'll see is that we have the second piece from Creativity Explored, Vincent Jackson. It's here. As we talked about before, we love to appreciate the history of vintage pieces. In this piece, we picked up at an estate sale. Yeah. And it is by...
So it's a replica of a piece by Jean-Baptiste Carpeau, and it's entitled The Negress, and it was his, I guess, his protest against slavery. And so she's like a woman who's bound, but also she just looks like, she has this like piercing stare. She looks very strong. And I saw it in a picture on an estate sale website. You know, and on these estate sale websites, they just kind of like take pictures of the room so you can kind of see what's in there. But she was hiding kind of like in the corner behind a door. And I zoomed in and I screenshotted it and I emailed the people who were running the estate sale and asked if this piece was still there. And miraculously, it was still there. The last day of the estate sale, no one had bought it. And I got it for 50% off. And I just like, I was so proud. I have this picture that Elvis took of me standing in front of the house, just like holding it, because I couldn't believe that we got it. Like, yeah, I love busts. I think sculpture is also such an amazing form of art. It's so tactile and just like expressive. And I think this is such a great replica. There's really, really bad ones where the details aren't as fine. And this one is a much older replica. So the details are more present. I feel like the more you use a mold, it like degrades over time, like the details degrade. So I love finding pieces that are a lot older and closer to the time period of when the original was made. But the original was made in like the 1800s and it's in bronze. So like it's, this is just like gypsum plaster. But I love her, and I love surrounding her with flowers and fruit, almost like an offering or like an altar. And yeah, she just kind of like watches over us every day.
Here you'll have a mixture of different styles. The table is more mid-century. You'll notice the two green chairs are more farmhouse style. And these we actually just found at an antique fair. It's from an artist that was very popular in the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. They actually had these on display in a museum. Unfortunately, the artist passed away. And part of their collection was being sold at this antique fair. And so we acquired them. We think they're perfect. Similar to our apartment, the color just pops. There's lots of patterns. And we thought it went perfect with our Casa Ojo rug that sits right at the bottom. And then as we transition over, you'll see this amazing wood bookshelf. Jillian really wanted a shelf or a cabinet in which we can have some of our homewares displayed, some of the dishes for our kitchen. It just so happened that at the same time we were looking for this, Jillian came across an opportunity to acquire some vintage pieces from South America, from the Middle East. And you'll see some of these pieces here. It was a gigantic collection.
Yeah, so most of this, it's all been mixed in now, but just from like us visiting Mexico and like purchasing things. But the majority of this collection came from a prop stylist who was just kind of like downsizing her collection. And she really just wanted a steward of these things. So some of these plates date back to the 20s and probably a little bit earlier. And they're just like these beautiful time capsules of Mexican history, Mexican craftsmanship. So this is also like an altar in itself, honestly. I just love like lots of texture and just being able to like see all of the different glazes, all of the like ways that people, made these things. Some of them are from Morocco, but most of them are from Mexico. And so I just love this little hutch. Like, it's just amazing. So I found this hutch on Facebook Marketplace for $20. And it's honestly like the biggest steal I've ever found. And then I just love baskets so much that we don't really have storage in this apartment. Like, when they took all the molding and everything off, they also took out all of the built-ins and all of the kind of like closets and things. So we had to get really creative on storage and like where we were going to put things. So, the baskets itself, that's also art, that's craftsmanship. And so just stacking up like that is like almost like its own like installation. But I use every single one of these. We go to the farmer's market, or when I'm prepping for a job, or when I'm going to someone's house, bringing food or whatever. Like, I'm always up here, like on a ladder, picking out what basket I'm going to use. But I'd also just like aesthetically, I love them kind of like haphazardly like tossed up there. And with that curved ceiling, it just adds so many textures in this corner. And then I don't know, I think like the chairs, so these are Italian chairs. And then, as Elvis said, these are made by an artist. They're all hand painted on canvas. And I just like love this. It reminds me of like wax African fabric. And there's a lot of like fabric from Nigeria that looks like this. And so it just really reminded me of that. And then also like echoing back to these mats that are African as well. There's just a lot of like texture and color play and pattern on pattern, that like maximalist aesthetic that I really like. That just makes it more interesting for your eye, and you're just constantly stimulated, which is like what we really want. We want to be inspired every day, and stimulation is really necessary for artists. These pieces on the wall here, both the ox head and this face mask, these are both African. This piece is horsehair, and then it's a sculpture that she made, but she was working with horses, and then like basically the trimmings from the horses were used in her sculptures. And this was the last one that she ever made. I got it from a store that's in New York. My friend works there, Michelle Varian, and I love everything in that store. It's kind of a problem. But I really just love this piece, like, especially knowing that she's not going to make any more, and that we have like one of the last ones that she's ever made is really exciting. This artist not only painted the frame, but he also did the artwork inside of it. And it's very similar to another artist who is basically like the king of like painting on old photographs, and in Mexico City. And ever since his work came out, a lot of other artists started doing it. And so this artist just really took it and ran with that idea. I just love that it has this kind of like circus, strongman kind of vibe, with all of the like tattoos, and it kind of feels really like fun and happy, but also like very, very Mexican and chingon. So I just love this frame. I love like all of these things together, all of the colors echoing back to each other. And even down here, like pulling the red and yellow and the blues down into the chairs, the stripes down into this whole area. And then these like natural elements can like kind of recede. So lots of things talking to each other in this space in terms of texture and material, pattern, color. So yeah. That's like kind of how my brain works when I'm putting things together and when I'm styling things, especially for camera or just in my job in general. I'm constantly thinking about material. I'm thinking about history. I'm thinking about just like, the references. Like, is it this is a woman-made piece. This sculpture is about a woman. These two things are, plaster, and ceramic, and just, lots of similar colors going on. And then, this like African theme also ties back into this like Mexico, just with the natural materials, lots of texture, glaze, all of that. So yeah, I think this corner is just like a little bit of both of us, like all together. Just like a nice little happy corner.
As part of our living room, we have these tool chests that were made into a bar. And we had never imagined tool chests being used this way. But we have had many conversations with our friends, people that we've brought in from the community. And I can't tell you how many amazing life conversations have transpired here. By the way, it's not all about alcohol. We encourage people to also drink some of our non-alcoholic spirits that we have available, whether it be soda or juice or whatever. And you can't have a proper bar without proper glassware. So every time somebody comes over, we have glassware that we use. This is all vintage stuff also that we've acquired. We've either acquired it in our travels, or we've acquired it through some of the vintage sales or estate sales that we've been through. This was a set that we acquired a few weeks ago. It was from a Japanese home, and it was a whole decanter with small glasses. We can't properly drink mezcal without a proper mezcal container. We've served many people with these mezcal jars. We absolutely love, and our guests love our glassware.
When we first saw this space, it was just one giant room. And also like the walls were all white. And so we really used the architecture of the room to kind of divide the space. So there are these pillars here, and just like wrapping color around and into these like little nooks made it feel like one space. And then the living room kind of in the opposite direction, feeling the same way. So using where the plum weights start and then painting towards the corners. And then this bookshelf, this is another estate sale find. I think this was like $25 or something. But I just love this like baby blue color. It's so 60s and just like so fun for me. And it has lots of great storage, so I can keep all of my cooking stuff out of sight, and I can be as messy as I want in here. And then I've been collecting cookbooks for a really long time, especially because I work on cookbooks as a food stylist and a prop stylist. So doing a lot of research on food is pretty essential. And also, we developed our own cocktail book, so for Casa Ojo. So, doing a lot of research on ingredients, where they come from, and even some of these recipes are really old. Like I have a cookbook. So this is the Ebony cookbook, this is Frida de Night. And so I did an article for Bon Appetit a few years ago, like in 2017 or 18, about Juneteenth, and we featured some recipes out of this book. And so I really wanted to get the real book. I wanted to read the real recipes and really understand the context behind that before I make the food, especially like cultural foods. I think it's really important to really know the kind of genesis and history behind the ingredients and those recipes, and even like the language of how they describe making it, or the occasion that the recipe is for, or the dish is for. So I have lots of older books. We're both vegan, like Elvis said, and so I have a lot of vegan books as well. But things on fermentation, preserving, cakes, pastries, and even this one, I love this book called Atlanta Cook Notes, which I think is really fun. But just like fun vintage cookbooks, I'm always looking out for those. And just like working on cookbooks is fun. Like that's my hand. Like, yeah, that's pretty great. So, I think having these things like close at hand, just so I can constantly be inspired, and it's so close to the kitchen, I can just run over and look something up quickly. So yeah, this is a great little zone for me. And then our Hilton Carter planter also. Hilton is from Baltimore, and that's really close to my hometown. And so having things from places, or like by people from those places, also means a lot as well. Honestly, I think the history of the building is like really where the soul lives, but also I think when you have materials like wood, that is truly like, it holds vibration. It's, real. It comes from a tree, which was a living thing. So, I really love like homes that have a lot of wood. We incorporate a lot of wood like in our interiors. But also I think, like it's really like the people that like fill it. It's the people that come in and out of it, the people that like give their energy into that space. It just becomes this like living, breathing kind of like organism. Yeah, I mean, how would you describe it?
I think you phrase it very well. It's about the people, the company that you decide to bring into it.
Yeah, I think soul is like it's such a great word to describe a home, and also the energy within the home. But I think more importantly, it's like, how you choose to live every day. It's the energy that you're providing in that space, and also the energy that the space is providing for you. So, it's a lot of like symbiosis, I think, in terms of a space having soul.
When you think about a home, I think that Many people think of it as a safe space or a space to enjoy other people's companies. Historically, we've always, even during the holidays, we've invited people over and we've encouraged them to bring friends of friends. We recently had Carnival here in San Francisco, which is very popular. And we had many friends who brought people with them, and it just became this amazing space where people met each other, they laughed, they had fun, they shared their great experiences, they shared challenges that they had in life, but it was just a beautiful thing to see.
And mezcal.
Yeah, food and mezcal. Yes. And so, for us, a home is a space, a safe space for everybody to come together and enjoy.
Welcome to the kitchen. This is my favorite room easily in the house. It's where I spend the most time, I would say. This kitchen was a really interesting area. It didn't have any cabinets or any kind of area for storage, so we had to get creative again. So we have like a little rack here for food. This is actually a hallway entry table that I found, I think at HomeGoods or Marshall's. And then I attached this like towel rack to it so we can hang towels. So I do a lot of like pastry work up here or like prep work. And then I just have a lot of pots and pans. When you're cooking constantly, you need lots of tools. And so I absolutely love Julia Child. I grew up watching her on TV, on PBS. And I just like loved her pot wall, like her pot rack, her like pegboard for all of her pots. And so this was really a big project to get done, but it was so worth it. And then this light is really fun when it turns on. So it kind of glows at night. And then we have these like chilly lights around, which are also really fun when we have parties like New Year's. It just like brightens up the space. So yeah. So this is a 2-panel piece. One goes in and then the other kind of wedges on top of it to make this like corner. And then I just love the like copper color, kind of like talks back to the color of the pots. And then this we got in San Miguel de Allende. I think it was $10. And then we brought it home. It got kind of dented a little bit, but we brought it home. We stuffed all of our socks inside of it in our suitcase to bring it home. I just love it so much. I just love that it's just like warm and has a really beautiful glow at night. And it's really nice to like, prep and pour a glass of wine and start cooking. I just absolutely love this like giant sink for prepping, for washing dishes, washing, big leafy greens and prepping produce. It's a huge, huge help. And then, obviously all of these like features of like a professional kitchen is pretty great. It just really helps with like prep in the kitchen. Yeah, our like storage situation, again, getting creative. And then akin to our Casa Ojo, like what we work with basket makers in Oaxaca. And so they make all of these beautiful baskets that are perfect for storage. So I keep flour, different kinds of flour, and then I do different kinds of sugar, and then other kind of like, things that just like the coffee filters are in here. I have like little bags of spices. And it just keeps us organized and also like keeps it nice and tidy looking without all these like bags and stuff kind of just everywhere. And also, since we don't have a pantry, the lids and everything keep the light from spoiling the food. So it's really awesome that way. And then just like, I love seeing lots of jars and ingredients and like knowing what I have. And then also like it helps me stay on top of what dry goods I need to use and when. So this area is really helpful. Also, just we have it all. We basically have it all. But it's my favorite place to come create and entertain and cook and just, that's how I tell people I can put love on them is when I cook for them, when I make him a good meal. That's my way of like showing you how much I care about you.
Jillian is normally a creative person, but I will say this is probably the place where she is the most creative. I tell Jillian she never makes the same dish twice. Every time she makes something, it tastes completely different. It's always delicious. And so I would say this is kind of her canvas where she makes a lot of her art.
Yeah, edible art.
Okay, and now let's show you our bathroom. Okay, welcome to our bathroom. A double sink is absolutely necessary for a couple. This is an older vintage piece that was used, and then they bought a newer countertop that we absolutely love. It's easy to clean. In the background, you see our Casa Ojo towels, in which we work with a family that also produces this on a wooden loom. We love, Julian talked about how sometimes after a tough day, we just need to unwind. We get the tub going, we both get in here, and we just kind of relax. We play some music. We love to have lights. We love to have plants in the background. And so you'll see a lot of the plants that we have visible. It kind of feels like you're in the jungle. And the same feel happens in the shower. For us, it was important to have both a bathtub and a shower. So here, sometimes we open the window, we feel the air, we're taking a shower. It just feels like we're outside. This is definitely one of our favorite places in the house. And definitely when we have guests, it's one of their places as well. We have a small piece of furniture here. It's an old telephone shelf, wire mid-century. We also picked it up at an estate sale. We cleaned it up a little bit, but we absolutely love the color. We love how functional it is, how flexible it is. We can use it for many things. As you can see, we're using it for toilet paper. In our honoring history, we have an old, right next to the washing machine and dryer, we have an old washer board that we have on the wall. And then we have a beautiful art piece that we picked up from an artist that we met in San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato, when we were visiting. And again, back to plants are absolutely necessary in all of our living spaces. You'll see our plants that we've added here that kind of transition the toilet over to our shower.
A lot of this in the bathroom, we really didn't have to design very much. The bathroom basically came like this when we moved in. So most of the lights in the house are on dimmers, which I really appreciate. I really don't like overhead lighting, so I prefer lamps and like more ambient light. So this is just really nice. This lamp we got from the same artist that we got the 2 Vincent Jackson pieces and a couple other pieces in the house. But I just love her, and she's like topless. It felt very appropriate for a bathroom. This was in his bathroom, so I think that's like honoring the placement like originally where it was in his home. But I just love her. She's just so strong and beautiful, and it just has that like Art Deco kind of vibe, which I really love. All right, well next we're gonna show you the office.
I spent 25 years in retail, working for many retailers as an executive. That was an easy transition during the pandemic when we started Casa Ojo. We started working with indigenous families and artisans out of Oaxaca that had done this for many generations. We love it. Our customer base at Casa Ojo loves it. We see that long term for the future for Casa Ojo as well.
Yeah. I basically have been an art kid my whole life, and so design and art has been really important to me through my upbringing. My father's an artist, his sisters were artists, his father was an artist, and I am like the first artist in my family that is like doing it full time. So just like design and art has been really important to me. I started off styling, and then just like I had an Etsy store like during the first market crash, and so I basically started an Etsy store because I couldn't get a job as a photographer. And so I started photographing and styling all of my photos, and then that kind of spiraled. I ended up having my Etsy store for almost 10 years. And then I went in-house as a stylist with like a couple fashion companies like Fast Fashion and like a couple other like retailers. And then I left to become a freelance stylist, working in wardrobe, props, and food styling. But design and interiors has always been just like a really great outlet for me. Both of us really love art. We love artists. You know, being creative people ourselves, like interacting with artists is really important to us. And also supporting the arts is really important to us. So yeah, everything is just like a single thread. You know, there's lots of like branches, but it all is one thread. So yeah. On the way to the office, we have this like really long hallway, and we've basically turned this into kind of a salon style gallery wall. This first piece I would love to tell you about. This is by a photographer named Kelly Marshall. And the subject is Clancy Miller, who is a writer. And she also wrote a book called For the Culture, which included women in the food industry, women and femmes in the food industry, more specifically Black and brown women, and their contribution to the culinary arts and the food space. I just love this picture of her. She's just like, Clancy is such a wonderful, beautiful person, and Kelly is also this like super mega talented woman. So I just love this piece. It's just like the two of them in one piece. So I love this one so much. I think this is supposed to be a turtle, but it's a straw hat that I got from a Black woman's estate sale. It was her mother who traveled all over the world, and this is from Cameroon. And so inside of it is actually like a basket, but then it's been beaded on the outside. And so these two like little like horns that it looks like are actually the like turtle flippers. But I love this piece so much. It's really, really cool. So this we also got at the Black Women's Estate as well. This is an artist that was from Cuba that was doing an exhibition. And this was one of those other remarkable times where a piece of art was already framed and all we had to do was hang it up. So we were really excited about this one. And so it says dangerous passage. That's what this means. And then this is another piece that is by a Haitian artist. And I just love it. It's like a market scene. So for a while I was collecting a lot of art that had to do with food for, just because I'm in food and it's very relatable. But I just love this scene. It's just like lots of like energy, lots of like movement. And I also just love the colors are so saturated and so joyful. But yeah, this one is a Haitian artist as well. And then this piece is from, his name is David Ezel, and he is in Mexico City. But I think it's colored pencil on board. But we went down to his studio in November of last year, and we picked up a few pieces from him, and then his nephew Gabo, who did the really big piece of the woman's face with the big hair, the indigenous woman. So and then this other piece is by David as well. I just love this. It has like this mid-century quality to it. I also love the color of this paper, and it has like this warmth to it, even though it has darker colors. But I just love this piece so much. And then this piece, so I'm a part of an artist collective called the Bridge Studio Collective. There are 13 of us in the collective. And John Stitch is an amazing illustrator and painter. And when we did open studios, I saw this and I had to have it. I love ODB. I think it's just got so much grit. I just love his face. I love his expression. John did such a good job with just like rendering light on his face and like even his hair. And it's just really, really good. This is like one of my favorite pieces also. And then on this side, so Shepard Fairey, everyone knows who Shepard Fairey is. But so if you are on his website, he does this thing called like Art Club. Basically, if you're on the list you can get notified when he releases new art. And most of the art is just like super affordable and like poster size, like ready to be framed. You don't have to get custom framing or anything. So he did this like big poster sale, and I got a couple of pieces from him. But I had this on a shirt for a really long time, like when I went to art school in college. And then when I finally was able to like get an actual piece of art from him, I was super stoked. So that was really cool. And this is like a model that we all live by, you know, like art is powerful. Art is resistance. So, you know, you're able to really show in real time what's going on in history and tell people's stories, tell your own story through art. So I totally, totally believe in this. And then this one is Edson Diego, who is an amazing painter in Mexico City. And I absolutely love this piece. This is, we still have to put wire on the back of it and hang it, but we just got this piece. We did a show with 4 artists in Mexico City showcasing their art, and this was a piece that I acquired from him just because I absolutely adore his work, and he's just an amazing human being. That's the hallway. So this is our pink gallery wall. The color is really close to the Rosa Mexicana color. And so just being that this felt like Mexico inside, we chose this color. But this piece is by George McCalman, who's a graphic designer, painter, illustrator, author, just savant in general. He's an amazing, amazing artist locally in San Francisco. This is a queer artist named Nat, who did this loop like hook rug. It's a cinder block, and it was a series that they did just based on the weights that queer people carry through their lives. And so this piece is by Rayos Magos, and he did an installation at Mag Galleries, and this was one of the pieces. I just love that it's mixed media. I love that it's not like there's no matting on this, so you can actually see the edge of the paper. And it's just, I just love that it's a black face also, and it has like the Azteca mask as well. And then this was a painting that we found in the garbage. It was one of the first paintings that we ever picked up, really, but it was in the trash, and I couldn't believe that someone decided to throw it away. But she's always been here. She reminds me of Frida Kahlo, and I absolutely adore her face and her expression and the colors.
And welcome to our creative space. This is our office.
Yeah, this is where all the magic happens. Yeah, this is technically like a living room, but I think when we moved in, it was advertised as a possible bedroom. But this just felt like very much like an office to us, especially with the light and the bay windows. And then, you know, just like more storage solutions, we acquired these cabinets, which are like so amazing. They're from the Masonic Center, and they were downsizing on the cabinetry. And so, yeah, we got 4 of them, and they were free, and it came with a key. And so all of our Casa Ojo merchandise is in here. This is how we store everything, to keep things nice and fresh and clean. And then our pottery as well for Casa Ojo is in here. And then all of the like projects that I've worked on, just like kind of like office-y stuff. It keeps it nice and tidy, and archival. I'm like such an archival person that this just made so much sense to be in this space. And also I feel like it just makes the walls in the room like look so much more massive. And then, you know, having this like jungle on top is also, we just love plants so much, and you know, they bring the life and the soul into this room, and it's really, really great. So this bay window is amazing. Across the street is a school, and so I love leaving the windows open during the day, like when I'm working, because then I can hear all the kids at recess and they're laughing and playing. And there's sometimes a DJ that plays up there for them, which I think is so fun. But this is this is really where a lot of people come to socialize and lounge and relax. So like New Year's, we have a really great party. Folks are in here chilling. Black Brunch Club, when folks are here, they're in here hanging out. We add extra seating, and things are in flow. So it's a really nice space. The couch that this is here is actually a pull-out couch. So it's also a great like swing space if we have guests. We can always pull the bed out and just kind of move things to the side, and it just makes sense to like have things that are like multifunction in a space in an apartment that's in San Francisco. Like everything is so on top of one another. Like when you're in San Francisco, that like everything has to have form and function like in multiple uses. So I love this office so much.
It's also great because it's right in front of the desk.
Yeah.
So sometimes if we're being creative and working in the same space, I can kind of relax on the couch while Jillian stays at the desk. Mm-hmm. Or if she gets tired of sitting at the stool, she can transition to the couch.
Yeah.
So it's this.
Or if I want to take a Zoom call, I can be like lounging here. Usually I'll take a lunch break. I'll step away from the computer. It's just like a nice way to kind of reset and just like sink into my own thoughts or like meditate or whatever. But it just feels really good to just like have kind of a dual seating area, like, that you can just kind of relax and also have a nice like place to think and be creative. I think a lot of being creative is in the stillness as well. It's not just about it's impossible to always be creating. There's a point where you absolutely have to recharge. You have to have this like moment to yourself to think and meditate and strategize, So yeah, this is that room. But also like we have more art in here. So, continuing with having art all over and being inspired constantly. This is just kind of, we're continuing the thread. So this is, we have 3 pieces by, his name is Santoyo Paredes. He's from Argentina. He's from Buenos Aires. But I absolutely love this piece, and I have a crazy story about how I got it home. I had to check it on the plane, and the first leg getting from Mexico City into Puerto Vallarta was really easy. They checked it, no problem. But then trying to get into the US, it was 4 inches too big on Southwest. And so I had to cancel my flight and find another airline that would take it. And I was literally in the airport in Puerto Vallarta, walking back and forth, asking who would help me check this. And then I finally found, I think it was Alaska that does oversized luggage, and like they do like surfboards and stuff. And so they were like, yeah, this is a piece of cake. So it's like 40 by 40 inches. But it's printed on, I think it's like rayon or like it's a very, very thin fabric. But I just love her. I'm like, she has a septum ring just like I do. At one point I had dyed my hair gray, but her attitude is it just felt like I was staring at myself. Like, this is so, so good. And it's also like my background for like my Zoom meetings. So it's way more interesting than like some like weird AI thing. So I'd much rather have this be there.
In the Mission District, every single year they celebrate this large festival called Carnival. And this is one of those vintage posters from Carnival from 1993. So we thought it was important to have something on the wall that reflects the history of the neighborhood, the colors, the art of the Mission District.
We can talk about this sculpture because we don't have a lot of sculpture in the house. We only have 2 pieces. So this is the other piece of sculpture that we have. I absolutely love his face. I feel like it's really rare to find busts that have African American faces. And so this one we found at the Berkeley Flea. And I think it was like $20. Like I really honestly couldn't believe it, but it looks bronze, but it's actually a coil. It's all coil. So just the way that this was made, I absolutely love this piece. It's just so incredibly detailed and beautiful. And I just love his face. So yeah, this was such a great find. And I'm just so honored to like have him here. Home has such a broad meaning for me. I've moved many times in my life. So I'm from DC originally. I went to school in Savannah, and then I moved to Chicago where I met Elvis, and then we both moved here. So home is honestly like, for me, it's like where you feel like you are safe. It's a place where you feel cared for. It's a place that you feel creative, that you feel love, and that you can give love. I think it just encompasses more emotion rather than specifics of like physical things. Yeah, but it can be cozy, it can be warm, it can be all of that. But I think you can make home wherever you are, as long as you have those like fundamental things of safety, love, caring, what else?
Community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really big one too. Yeah, what else? What makes home for you?
I think you've hit a lot of the important points, but for us, it's really the community. In this building, we have artists, artist studios that are downstairs. We have some wonderful co-owner of the building neighbors. They are artists. For them, when we sat down to talk to them, it was important that the people who live next to them were also creatives, and they also got along with, and then we're also members of the community. Jill and I take great pride in meeting our neighbors, in co-living with people in the community, and bringing people into our space. So I would say that home is a place where if you're having a challenging day, you come home and you recharge, you feel safe, and you're ready to go the next day. Okay, Homeworthy, thank you for stopping by our home. We really appreciate you coming by. Good seeing you. We're getting hungry. It's time for us to get to work.
Bye!
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.